Hi and welcome to this video about the Star of Bethlehem. It's part of a series of videos about the star where we will examine the star from different perspectives. Common to all videos is that we're using the Babylonian divination manual Enuma, Anu, Enlil, written some 3,000 years ago, to understand how the Magi thought and how they acted as interpreters of the stars. In this particular video, we are going to examine if it is possible for a Magi to follow a star from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem. If you ask astronomers, they will say that it's not possible to follow a star from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem and see it stop upon arrival. And the reason for this is that planets are moving really slow and stars are moving really slow. If you go out in the evening and look up in the sky, you won't see anything moving at all. Or if you see something moving, it's a meteorite or a satellite or something man-made. So there is actually no movement at all if you just look up in one particular moment. If you go out 1 hour later, everything will have moved because the Earth is spinning to the east, so everything will move to the west. Actually, the movement to the west is the same as the sun's movement to the west, because it is also dependent on Earth's rotation to the east. So everything moves, and it can be said to stand still in some way. But the planets, they are called wandering stars by ancient astronomers. They are seen as stars, and they are walking among the stars, and they can also be said to stop because they appear to slow down, stop, change direction, go backwards, stop again, and turn back to the original direction. And this is because we are observing them from a moving platform, Earth. So as we pass them in the sky, pass Jupiter, for instance, Jupiter will appear to slow down and then go backwards for a time, and then we are rounding the sun, starting to round the sun, and then Jupiter will appear to slow down and start in the correct original direction again and speed up. So that is how it works. So planets can actually be said to stop, and that's the only thing that can be said to stop. So if the Magi were astronomers from Babylonia, they would have intended a planet when they said that the star had stopped. Now, as I say, modern astronomer says it's impossible to observe when a planet stops. But if you look into the diaries written by the Magi, and if you look into the divination manual, you will see that there are omens for Jupiter and Venus stopping in the morning. So obviously they felt that they could say that Venus or Jupiter had stopped in the morning, and they regularly noticed in their diaries that planets had stopped. So if you can't see them stop, how can you say that they have stopped? Well, you do so by having a certain period of time during which the planet does not move at all. And if you say that it's still on the same position as 24 hours earlier, then you can say, no, it has stopped. So it would actually be possible for Magi to arrive in Bethlehem and then say that Venus or Jupiter has stopped. But how can you follow them to Bethlehem if they are not really moving at all, because they really have stopped to some degree, at least to the human eye? They have already stopped. So how can you follow them? Well, you can follow them because they have stopped in relation to the other stars. But the whole sky is moving to the west. And Bethlehem happens to be southwest of Jerusalem. So if you want to travel from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem following a star, you could actually do so. If you ignore roads, walls, and different things. But theoretically, you could follow a star or a planet from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem. It's just a matter of having the correct speed. So if you are on a jet, you should aim for a star or a planet right above Bethlehem. But if you are crawling, you shall pick a star or a planet to the east of Jerusalem and make a large curve as you are crawling. So it's quite possible. So it's possible to follow a star to Bethlehem, and it is possible to say that the planet has stopped as you arrive. But why on earth would they start following a star in the first place? They knew that they were going down to Bethlehem. Why would they follow a star? What gave them that idea? Well, the thing is that the road down to Bethlehem is a gentle curve starting south and then slightly turning to the west as you proceed. So for the first two-thirds of the road, you can actually follow a star if you are on a horse walking in its natural walk 4-beat gait, about 6 kilometers an hour. So if they were traveling on a horse and trusted their horses to see the road as they were looking at the planets, they would be looking at Venus or Jupiter, and notice that this planet was always in front of them because the horses kept the speed. So after about 55 minutes, the road turns to the west, but by then the Magi would have noticed that they were following the star and they could see Bethlehem vaguely below the slope. They were on top of a slope going down to Bethlehem. And the road turned west because the road was intended for carriages, but if you had a horse you could take the slope down. So it was possible for them to continue following the planet or the star, and they decided to do so. And Bethlehem was probably a very small city or hamlet at this time, so it would be possible for them to follow the planet until they reached an appropriate house, and of course they would be psychologically inclined to decide as they reached a suitable house that this must be the place where we will find the king. So that is my explanation of what happened. But when did it happen? Well, first of all, we can exclude Venus because Venus can never be south of Jerusalem. Venus is always close to the morning or the evening sun. So in Jerusalem, the sun is only seen to the west or the east, so it can never be seen to the south. So Venus must be excluded, and Saturn and Mars, they don't have any omens connected to them, but Jupiter has. So Jupiter is also the planet of the king, so it's an appropriate planet connected to the new king, and it has an omen, and that omen, it means peace on earth. So if Jupiter becomes steady in the morning, enemy kings will be reconciled. Reconciliation is the same word as peace in Akkadian, the Babylonian language. So that is my explanation, and it satisfies the Bible because the Magi were happy when they saw the planet. They were excited, and they were even more excited as they decided that it really had stopped when they arrived. So everything works. So that is my explanation. I hope you like it. Of course, it will not convince anyone to believe in the Star of Bethlehem, but we will continue to produce new videos about the Star of Bethlehem, where we will actually see what the signs were that made the Magi travel to Bethlehem in the first place. And we will see that the probability for such a thing to be in accordance with the manual is very low probability that we will find such a thing, but we actually can find these signs and at appropriate time, 2 BC. Of course, the death of Herod, did he die 4 BC or 1 BC? That's a question we will also cover in this series of videos. But to me, it's quite obvious that Christ was visited by the Magi around the 25th of December, the year 2 BC, and that is an historical event. So please visit my page again and look at my other videos. Thank you for watching for now. Bye.